Okay, everybody
Make sure
check
you guys
your
are
mics.
comfortable. Just
Make
Danielle's
sure they're
got
on.
the agenda.
Good morning and welcome to the Berry County Board of Commissioners meeting for May 13th, 2025. If you would please stand for our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another beautiful day in Berry County. Thank you for this nice summer weather. We just ask for your blessing and your guidance over all these commissioners, all our staff and guests, Lord, to help us to continue to debate and do the right things for all the constituents we serve. In your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For purposes of attendance, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett.
Here.
Carlton.
Here.
Campbell.
Here.
Getty. Here. Hatfield.
Here.
Smelker.
Here.
Tunison.
Here.
And Jackson.
Here. Thank you. Reports from state and county officials. Are there any state or county officials that would like to address the board this morning? Hearing none. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for any item listed on our agenda. Moving right along. Approval of written agenda. At this time, any member of the board may ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under items for consideration. Hearing no such request, does any commissioner wish to change the agenda additionally? Hearing no such request, the agenda is approved as written. Various correspondence. Does any commissioner have correspondence they'd like to share with the board? Consent agenda. Commissioner Campbell.
I move for the approval of April 22nd, 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting minutes.
Support.
Oops, we're going to read all those as the consent agenda.
Sorry.
Roll call, one-time vote. Approval of the 2025 L4029 tax rate request for the levy of property taxes to be signed by the chairperson. C, approval of the 2026 budget calendar. D, approval of a contract for $9,175.04 with Smart Home Smart Offices to upgrade the Titan Center meeting room audio-visual system for remote meetings.
Support.
Thank you, Commissioner Getty. You were a little fast there, but we appreciate you being on the ball. Motion by Campbell, support by Getty for all items listed on the consent agenda. Discussion is not allowed and a roll call vote is required. All those in favor vote aye and opposed vote nay. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The consent agenda is approved. This morning, we have Drain Commissioner Jim Dahl with us for the annual report. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you said, what a beautiful day. I believe you got the annual report in front of you. I'm going to hit on the highlights of what we've been doing, mostly in-house. We've got a lot of it. We put in 4,000 feet of pipe on state road and extensions. That gentleman now can actually use his farm field. It's been underwater for 20 years. So yeah, 4,000 feet of pipe's a pain in the butt, but it works. 250 feet on Intercounty Allerding, that'll be able to dry up the north side of Vettel Road for Ken and Jim Steele. They were pretty excited that we're going to get that in. 8,100 feet of Cakel. In-house, we dipped 500 feet on Shallow Lake. Last fall, it was so dry that we were able to sneak in there and dig the first 500 feet with mats. So the people were pretty excited. We still got the other 400 feet to clean out, but that's Scott Pavlak was supposed to do it after spring rains and before the loons move in. So I'm not sure where we're going to be on that one. 4,100 feet. What's that?
The loons are here.
Are they?
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right, we might have to wait till this fall. Graves Drain, we got 4,100 feet. Larry Palmer's very, very happy. He's about 85 years old, and he's been trying to get something done for a lot of years, and Scott rode my rode me till we got it done this year. That was in conjunction, DNR allowed us to cross their property, which was granted part of the drain, but you always talk to Randy out to DNR. 11 tile repairs, over 1,500 feet of Bolton extensions. It was one that previously they worked on it, and then they had another one, and then another problem, and another problem, so we went all 1,500 feet, took out all the trees that were in the drain, got the tiles fixed, and as far as I know, that thing is running like nobody's business. The road commission was good enough down on North Avenue and Dowling Road. They had one culvert that was staged up about 2.5 feet too high. They had another one that, according to the neighbors, they had just thrown a culvert in when the road went out. We got them both up to 6-footers. We got them the right gauge. The road commission's been phenomenal with us. They let me go out there and find the bottom of the drain, and we get the culverts in the correct level. Then we dip down and put 3 more culverts in, so that thing's running good. We still have more work on it. 700 feet on Helmer Drain up on Tisha Road, 800 feet on Quaker Brook, 40 feet on the Town Line Drain 3. We put 40 feet of tile in to extend it. Right now, when we started, the tile was broke just under the road. So we got 40 feet of that. And then we dipped all the way down. We got more to do on it. Every one of these has been neglected for 75 or 100 years, so we're taking little bitty bites on them. Chase, we got the tile repaired. It was supposed to be connected when we did the project. We couldn't find the tile, so we went up into Regan Chase's field and traced it with our underground tracker, found where it came in and got that tied in, so he ain't got water running through his field anymore. We was up on Duncan Lake 2, we had to plant 22 trees up there. Because we took down a number of trees, we said, okay, we'll plant some nice trees. So Wes, the maintenance guy, and I was up there with that 400-gallon tub watering trees once a week for the whole summer, because ain't no sense in spending good money on trees not keeping them watered. So Early Curtis did some repairs out there. A farmer said that we had cut the tile when we put in a new line. He was flooded. Come find out they put the tile plow through it. But it's okay. We were out there. We got it fixed. He was happy. That's the end result. New culverts down on Kent Drain that we've been working on. The road commission had changed out the road one, and they gave us the old one so we could move it downstream and go from a 2-footer up to a 4-footer, which the road commission had at the road. It doesn't work very well when you downsize them. Zerbel-Hein, we did an in-house, some sock tile and repairs in Hubbell's field there. I'm not even going to try to explain what was done there. They put a new tile in and didn't connect the old tiles and flooded the field, so we got that fixed. That one we also had Mel Plockmeyer coming in from Quantum, and he put new ends on the culvert underneath M43, and that was, it just broke off and kind of flopped down, so that doesn't work very well.
So when a farmer puts tile in a field and doesn't connect it properly, we're not talking about a drain?
They have a right to connect tile
You're
to
doing work on private property that's not connected to a drain? I'm just trying to follow it.
No, if it's connected to the tile and we put a new tile in, we're supposed to get that hooked back in. Sometimes they get missed. It happens. And typically, if they haven't had a problem in years and you put a new tile in and all of a sudden they get a big wet spot in their field, it might be a tile that didn't get connected. So we try to rectify that, and we also check it out to make sure we ain't going to tie something in that's going to put dirt in my drain, because I don't want dirt in my tile. It just doesn't make anything work very well.
So if they do something wrong, you fix it?
No, if we do something wrong,
Okay.
Our contractors, if they miss a tile, then we go, we make it right by them.
Okay.
We had a couple up on corner of Martin and 43 that they said it was our fault. We dug it up, found it was tile repair or broken tile. That's not a big deal. Just let's get it done, make sure that we ain't getting any more dirt in our tile, because then I don't want to have to clean the tiles out. Henny Williams, we're still working on that. That's the lake up on North M43 where you go curve to Woodland. I'll be bringing that to you guys in the next few months. We've been fighting with DEQ for 2 years. They said we didn't have any right to reduce that lake. It's right over a county drain. When we did all our FOIAs, when NRCS and through the drain office, we found out that between 2000 and 2014, there was work that should not have been done the way they did it. The drain office, I've got confirmation that the drain office not only knew about it, they undertook some of the work that caused some major issues there. But we're still working with DEQ on getting an ACO there because they said we couldn't legally reduce an inland lake, which is technically according to law, but then we have exemptions that say we have the right to fix our tile no matter what happens. It's a mess, but that started in August of 23. We're still working on that with them. Beaver dams, there's a picture in here of the one culvert in High Hill that's inside the culvert that I took before we pulled it out. Kind of scary. But it, MacArthur Drain, we did a little clean out at the bottom of that, checking things out, making sure it's right. They put in a whole new drain a year and a half ago. It's working really good. Jackson Earthworks did riprap at Jordan Lake Dam a little over late 23, early 24. Now we can take all 10 boards out, which we do now, to make sure Jordan Lake don't flood anybody out in the winter. Just a lot of these things that needed to be dealt with so that people don't have to worry about flooding and farmers don't have to worry about flooding. Pavlak did a whole reconstruction on Bray Drain. The guy that owns 95% of that had been on me for a couple of years, so we just had Scott go in there, reditched it to historical grade, laid the banks back and seeded it, and it looks really nice. Everything's dry for him. Fighter Road, from there down to the first pond was, I got a video of Scott's excavator going like this, sitting on mats because it's so wet out there. But he got it out, got it cleaned up to the road. The road now is dry. John Gallagher is really happy, but he'd like us to put a culvert along the side of the road. I said, well, we don't do this roadside culverts. And then the gentleman upstream of him says, when are you coming back for ours? We get that a lot. GEI finished up Thornapple Drain 1, which goes from Nashville all the way to Thornapple Lake. That was a 2-year project. They did it all with pulleys and chainsaws. We got one really big tree that's 4 foot thick. We're still trying to figure out how to get that one out of there, other than getting an excavator in there, and it's pretty punky ground. We did float it from Thornapple Lake down to Barger here a month ago because Doc Floor said there was still a lot of stuff in there. We found 2 trees that had fallen this winter, but other than that, we didn't see any obstruction. But in his defense, late last fall when he floated it, there wasn't hardly any water in there. So we didn't dig everything out of the bottom because for fish and everything like that, it's just better to leave the stuff in and not unsettle the sediment in the bottom. So there may be a few portage spots, but everybody, Cheryl Hartwell and Johnny said that they're seeing kayakers put in Nashville and not coming back in 15 minutes because they can't get through. So we think it's going to be a win for everybody. Randall Myers cleaned out some on Sandy Beach. And we did finally get the Floria Road structure in that we've been working on a permit for 2.5 years with DEQ. So it sets a lake level for Pleasant and Mud Lake, even though the lake is down because they don't have an inlet, so their water's still down. We did do all Meadow Lane last year. That's done. Looks really nice. We got some pictures in here. When you glance through, you'll see where it used to be flooded on there at the corner of Venture. In a good rain, it would be on both sides of the road and running down the road. Ken Clisso's basement's dry. Ray Hawes, his backyard, before we had our scope meeting, we didn't even know we had an issue, and he showed us pictures, so all that got dried up. That worked out good. Duncan Lake 2 is done, and so those people seem to be a lot happier about it. Couple quick updates. Duncan Lake Intercounty that we've been working on for, I'm guessing, 3.5 years. That's, if you guys ever get up to 108th Street, when you go across there in a big rain, it's going across the road. That was one of the petitions we got. We got a petition from the people, and we got a petition from the township, all for the same project. 108th Street will get a new culvert. The road commission then can raise the road so that you can get through whether it's raining or not. The outlet of Duncan Lake, Nofke Road, and Duncan Lake Road culverts are going to be upsized. When we started reviewing things, evidently Duncan Lake was considered a detention pond at one time because the outlet was 30% smaller than the inlet. Don't know why they did it, but it's evident, when you got 30% smaller going out and it's no lower, they were intending for that as a detention pond, not as a lake. So that's why I've literally been up there where at 9 in the morning the lake was at a certain level, and 3 in the afternoon the lake is 6 feet higher. And people had a good complaint. Really bad up there when and then the lake would stay up for weeks at a time, and once you get the wind and erosion, it's bad. It's a bad deal. So the other one is, I had 2 notes. Watson Crossing, probably, I don't know if, no, it'd be years, David. They're south of Delton. That got dumped in our lap last September. It looks like we're going to be able to meet our schedule and start changing that crossing last week of May. We started it in 17, worked on it for 6 months. MDOT took it away. They ran with the ball till September of 24. We had a meeting with DEQ, and DEQ said, well, if MDOT did it, they got to mitigate 100 acres of wetland at $100,000 an acre. So 3 days later, I got the call and said, it's yours. So, well, I don't blame them. So that one is going to be a 6x7 crossing. Actually, there's going to be riprap inside. MDOT had an agreement with John Ball Zoo and the Conservation District to put a turtle crossing inside it. Basically, you stack rock in like this, and turtles will not swim through a culvert. So we're honoring what MDOT said that they would do. They're going to pay for it. One of the big hitches we found here a while back is the sewer line. When they installed it, they didn't get it in the right place. It's in the way of the culvert, so now we're relocating a 12-inch pressure main. Ron Cordes is down there boring that right now. It just, one thing after the other. Thank God consumers reached out to us. They were going to relocate some new poles. And we got with them, we got it situated so they're not going to be in our way. So, but lots of little boxes to be checked.
How long is M43 going to be shut down for?
Probably 6 to 8 weeks.
No kidding, for a culvert placement?
It's big. It's 7x6, a lot of riprap, wing walls. It's just that we're hoping 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if it takes 8.
Wonder what the reroute's going to be for that.
South of Delton, right there.
Yeah, just south of Delton, just
It's
south.
Milo Road over to Norris, up to Delton Road, back to M43.
Milo to Norris, okay.
It's a good bypass. We worked with the road commission. They've been great about it and said, yep, we'll allow this one. We are changing culverts. We're jack and boring down on Kent Drain, which is in Assyria. They're going to jack and bore because MDOT, the road commission, didn't have a good bypass for that, so we got to spend a lot of money doing jack and bore under M66 down there and at Cox Road. And thank God Jim Davis, he works for MDOT. He's their drain guy, and he's funding these projects for us because we couldn't swing them. The relocation for the sewer authority alone is probably $150,000 or more, just for one little line 400 feet long. They don't have the equipment or the capabilities to relocate it. So the culvert, we're expecting $1.3 1.3 to 1.5 million for the culvert. Jim Davis is hoping the Kent Jack and Bore and the road crossing on Cox will come in under $1 million. Thank God we ain't got to do that. That's all that's good stuff. So lots of stuff going on. People will be very upset with us for closing roads.
6 to 8 weeks in the south side of Delton between there and Gilmore Car Museum. It's not going to be popular. So.
No. And but the nice thing is, as soon as we get this done, they're going to repave the road. So then there'll be more construction. Supposedly they're going all the way from the county line all the way up to Delton. And because we've been blamed that it's our fault that we're slowing down the repaving. And it's like they dump it on us in September, and we finally got an okay from DEQ that they were going to allow us to do the riprap down in the creek bed. Anything below ordinary high water mark, we have to get a permit for. And there's a lot of riprap. And they finally give us an okay in the end of January, I think it was. We'd had 2 meetings with them to say, we need to get this done. Are you going to allow this permit to go in a timely fashion? And it takes 4 to 4.5 months just to build the culvert, so that's scheduled. Talked to Jim Washbaugh this morning. He plans on having it down here May 20, the week of Memorial Day. So from then on, maybe it'll be 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, but I would plan on 8 weeks because I'm not sure what other hiccups are going to come along that we got to deal with. So,
Okay.
Any questions? Lots of pretty pictures. Yes, sir.
When is Duncan Lake going to start, do you know?
We're hoping to bid it this fall.
This fall?
Ken is working with Gib King at the Conservation District because we're planning a wetland detention area up at 100th Street. We hoped to get it bid this summer, but there's just a few catches in it that just are not getting resolved quick enough.
How's the permits doing on that?
We have to get the permit for that, to build that wetland. It was a godsend on 108th Street to widen that road and them wetland impacts. We got the permit on that in 3 weeks. Don't get it. We usually take 2.5 years. Ken and Kent County said, no, we get ours in 2 to 3 months. They like Kent County, I guess.
Now, if a county drain goes, it's been broke or plugged for a long time, but it goes through there and you want it fixed, the state can stop you from fixing it?
They can give us violations for reducing an inland lake because anything 5 acres or more, whether it was permitted or not, is considered a regulated lake. So they say, well, you're taking this down, that's an impact. And at $10,000 a day for fines, we don't really want to fight with them too much.
But the reason the lake is there is because the drain isn't working.
Correct.
So the lake wouldn't be there if the drain would have worked in the first place.
Correct. And that was our point with them, is like, this shouldn't even be there. They said, but it is. Yeah, they've got ungodly amounts of power. We are fighting with them on Crystal Lake, and that may be something I got to bring back to this board also. Crystal Lake on Corey Drive, there's a sediment pond that was built specifically to keep the sediment out of the lower lake. They're saying it's not exempt. It was built in '68. The law that does the wetland stuff was done in the '70s, and we've been 2 years trying to get a permit on that one. The biggest problem for the county is mandated to maintain that. So and they're saying, well, that's 8/10 of an acre, you can do 1/3 of an acre, which won't do much because now they're regulating the stream that goes through there as part of the wetlands. And they said, well, you can buy wetland mitigation credits at $150,000 an acre. So I told them, I said, well, maybe we just let it fill up and blow the bank out, and then we have another Midland. Well, they don't like the sounds of that either, but we have sent a letter to Representative Regas and Johnson and Rochelle Smith and Senator Albert saying, can you explain to these people that there has to be some common sense here? That should not, just doesn't make sense. They're looking at slapping $150,000 wetland mitigation on something that shouldn't even have to have a permit. And then you're going to spend $300,000 to $400,000 cleaning this thing out on the backs of 35 property owners. It's unrealistic. And it's just, you can't get through to them. They have decided the way they're going to interpret it. And I talked to Kelsey last week. I said, look, this is wrong. You're supposed to follow the statute specifically. I said, we got a permit to do a small clean out to see how bad it was in 18, and that was regulated under a different act. How can you keep changing things on us? How can we deal with this to get things done? So.
He didn't give you an answer, huh?
No, they just don't do anything, and then they say, well, you want to change your permit? No, we need to get this cleaned out. And even the wetland mitigation would be bad enough if it was a one-time thing. And I said, okay, so we buy these credits and we're good forever. No, next time you clean it out, you got to buy them again. It just boggles the mind how the way they're regulating things. So, like I say, we've reached out to the reps and the state senator and said, can you bring this back? They won't even deny the permit, which would give us the opportunity to take it to court and get somebody else's decision on it. So we're just stuck in a holding pattern, and people are just waiting, and the pond's filling up. And the same pond blew out in 2007, and they had to do a reconstruction of it. So and that dumps a lot of sediment down the river, and it just doesn't make sense. So any questions on this?
I was going to ask you about Crystal Lake, so that was a pretty good explanation, because we haven't heard anything about it for a while. So
Yeah, it's just doesn't make sense. So, yes.
Commissioner Bassett.
Is there some sort of communication plan when you close down roads like this, that places like Gilmore Car Museum and the Dalton community are notified of these road closures?
It's posted, I believe MDOT does the posting, but I can reach out to Gilmore's and say, hey, we're going to be shutting this down. There's no official notification that you're supposed to do on any of this stuff. We've sent a timeline, I believe, to the township, just saying, hey, because we had an issue when we did Floria Road that I called 911 somehow. And I'm not even going to say what happened. They said they never got the message. 911 said they sent it. So, but yeah, like 911 and places like that are contacted. So.
And when is it pegged to start? You said.
They're supposed to bring the culvert in May 26th. It's such a tight schedule. We had the pre-bid on it last Wednesday. We get the bids back on Friday, and they're supposed to start in a week and a half. It's just unrealistic. But we had 5 contractors show up and said they'll look at doing that work in Kent Drain, so we're tickled to death. We got really good contractors, and we got the road commission working with us. Things are as good as they can be. So now if we get DEQ to be on board with us, we'd be golden.
There you go.
So,
Thank you.
any other questions?
Couple questions for you. Pleasant Lake.
Yes.
I was looking at that structure versus the water control structure put in at Long Lake, dramatically different.
Yeah.
And I guess the question was, there was a lot of Pleasant Lake people that were kind of unhappy with the fact that A, it took long, B, they didn't want to pay for it, they didn't think they needed it.
Yep.
That was back and forth, a lot of conversation. I don't know if you've talked to their lake association or their board and finally got some agreement from them?
No, that is the most fractured lake I've ever worked with. They said there wasn't a flooding issue, but then the same people turned around 2 years later and asked us why they're flooded. One lady, Patty Herndon, didn't know that her house used to be in the water, and she bought it, and there was no disclaimer put in there. It's a very fractured lake. With the structure, we sent out, we did 2 sent out surveys to the people, and then we did the one that the the association put out. Some people are just elated, some people are mad. It's very unusual to have a lake. Well, I don't know if it's unusual, but you get people on both sides.
Is that part of Watson, the Watson Drain?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Did the Watson Drain District pick up the cost for that, or
Yep.
was there some
Yep.
extra overrun, whatever the case was? I know we talked about that and said there was some surplus at one point, so.
The setting of the special assessment district will be a cost to them, but the structure, after a lot of go-arounds with Doug Kelly, Stacy Hissong's the one that helped me out on that, because he said you can't do the lake level without, or on the cost of the drain. Stacy Hissong found me the paperwork in 2004 that the Little Thornapple Intercounty drain paid for the dam at Jordan Lake, and all the people paid for was the lake level assessment to set up the special assessment district, which was, thank God Stacy was, because otherwise I wasn't getting very far with Doug.
Okay. On the Thornapple River, looking at the log jams and the stuff in there, when you're spending time removing that stuff, is that being assessed to the property owners on the river?
Yes, yes. And we'll be having a day of review on that project this summer and all 9 drains that come into it. Because that takes in all the way from Dillon Drain, all the way up through State Road and extensions. It's a big, I can't remember how many thousand acres go into that. And anybody upstream of Thornapple Lake will be in that district. Brian Sensi's working on that. I think there's 9 drains that all go into there. Woody Ditch, it won't be the Collier Mud Creek because that's a separate drain just north of there. So those people will be out of it.
Okay. Additional questions from commissioners?
We haven't heard anything about Pine Lake in a while, Jim.
No,
Is that a good thing?
Well, they hovered this last summer around 922, 922 and a half, 923. We haven't had any big rains, That's the nice thing. I mean, if we had a couple real good rains, we might be right back in the same boat. We still have the permit if, Chad, the engineer, has been pushing me. He said, you should at least get the structures in because you'll never get that permit again, and try the test pumping just to see if it would work. I said, well, the commissioners said, don't do anything, sit tight until 66% of the people sign a petition to reset the lake level, and we have an emergency. That was a decision by the commissioners, and I'm fine with that. Now, we should get around and get that assessed. That's sitting on the county books, 300 and X number of change. We will have to have the redistrict. The district was set by the courts back in '93. The assessment roll was never confirmed by the commissioners, from what we can tell. So there was, out of 660 properties, about 600 of them are on the assessment.
I was just going to ask you about that 300,000.
Yeah. Yep.
So that still has to be,
Oh, yeah. Unless the county wants to cover it. So,
no. So, do you have to bring that in front of us? or-
yes,
Okay.
yes. Well, I'll come up and see if you guys want to get it assessed. If we do, we go through the whole thing. Once the assessments are set, then I come back and the commissioners have to okay the roll. Lake levels are 100% on county. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but just the way the law is written. So,
Additional questions? Thank you, Jim.
you kids have fun.
Always good to see pictures.
Yeah, pictures are good. See you guys. Thanks.
Thanks. Items for consideration, Commissioner Bassett.
Yes, I make a motion to approve prepaid invoices in the amount of $3.759574.73.
Is there support? Support. Motion by Bassett, support by Calton for approval of prepaid invoices in the amount of $3,759,574.73. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Tunison.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
and Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I make a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $53,185.33.
Is there support? Support. Motion by Bassett, support by Tunison for approval of claims in the amount of $53,185.33. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tennyson. Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
And Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I make a motion to approve commissioners' reimbursements of mileage in the amount of $661.
Is there support?
Support Campbell.
Motion by Bassett, support by Campbell for approval of commissioner reimbursement mileage in the amount of $661. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-16, resolution for a partial termination of a farmland development rights agreement with pre-existing structure in Section 28 of Johnstown Township, PP number 08-09-002-8-007-30.
Is there support?
Support Hatfield.
Motion by Bassett, support by Hatfield for adoption of Resolution 25-16, a resolution for partial termination of farmland development rights agreement with the pre-existing structure in Section 28 of Johnstown Township, parcel number 08-09-028-007-30. Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty. Aye. Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I make a motion to approve to appoint Jillian Foster to serve in the position of a citizen at large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a one-year term that began on 4/1 of 2025 and expires on 3/31 of 2026.
Is there support?
Support Hatfield.
Motion by Bassett, support by Hatfield for approval to appoint Jillian Foster to serve in the position of citizen at large on the Berry County Tax Allocation Board for a one-year term that began on 4/1/25 and expires on 3/31/26. Discussion. We did not have a citizen at large for this committee this year, and it was affecting quorum to a degree. There are 2 more meetings remaining. We had reached out to a few people, and Jillian has served on the Berry Community Foundation Board. She's well-known, a good mind, and I think she'll be great on that board. I think most of you know Jillian as well, so, you know. Any questions?
Just a correction, she was on the foundation staff. not-
Foundation staff. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Smelker.
Aye.
Tennyson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved.
I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2517, performance resolution for municipalities for Michigan Department of Transportation individual permit for use of state highway right-of-way for a temporary driveway permit for construction of the new Commission on Aging facility.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Bassett, support by Getty for adoption of 25-17, a performance resolution for municipalities for Michigan Department of Transportation, individual permit for use of the state highway right-of-way for a temporary driveway permit for construction of the new Commission on Aging facility. This was a late addition to the agenda, but an important one, so.
Yeah, this is the last thing that's holding up the COA project from starting. So Courtney begged that we get this on your agenda real quick. We apologize for the late addition, but this will allow them to build that construction driveway to make things move quickly. In the report, it mentions that a permit for permanent driveway is in, a request is in. Dave and I had signed a letter requesting MDOT to revisit a decision they made originally denying our request for a driveway out onto the highway. So we're working through that process. We're not, but Frederick and the engineers and COA are doing that right now, so just FYI.
It was important that the Commission on Aging maintains its own identity, has its own driveway, and to drive in through Harvest Point and maneuver around, we just didn't see that as a viable alternative, for our seniors. We wanted to make it as easy as possible. That highway is flat, there's plenty of visibility on it, there's no reason not to approve that, so we're digging our feet in to be sure that that happens. So, is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay.
So this temporary permit, when can we put the driveway in?
As soon as it's granted, they'll put the driveway in to start construction.
So we have to apply for this?
Yeah, any access of M route has to be approved by MDOT.
I guess my question is, why haven't we applied for it before now? Just because we were denied, or?
Well, why was it, that's a great question, Bob, and I can't answer that. This request just came through from COA on this. But that's a question we can ask.
We don't know how long this is going to take before?
It shouldn't take, temporary permit requests typically don't take that long.
Okay.
Did they give a reason why it was denied?
They didn't feel the driveway was justified in that stretch of road. They try to minimize access onto M routes. So they're like, you have Harvest Point, you have McEwen Road right there. You don't need to come out onto the highway.
But that puts all the heavy construction equipment.
Needs to.
Well, the temporary is one thing. That we don't anticipate that being an issue. It's the permanent. That's the thing we had to appeal. And we worked with the Road Commission and all the other interested parties on that letter and trying to make our case to MDOT.
We'll see where it goes, but the temporary permit shouldn't be an issue at all, and they can get construction started
Yep.
ASAP, so.
Yeah, they want to get the groundbreaking scheduled so they can get the
Perfect.
building done.
It's May, let's go.
Let's go, Troy.
Okay.
Well, every minute we're losing here, cost, okay, and schedules. A lot of these people were planning on starting, 'cause we were originally talking end of April, right? So now we're going to be end of May. And then everybody's going to be going out and getting different work and everything else, and then scheduling is going to be an issue.
So at this point,
So every minute we wait or lose is not good.
as soon as you approve this, we'll get the resolution to MDOT and get rolling, hopefully.
Away we go. Okay. Any
Thank
further
you for
discussion?
pointing out the fact that it's very important that COA maintain its own identity. I think we're all aware that we've got at least one individual that still likes to come before us and make comment that alludes to the fact that there's a merger between COA and Thornapple Manor, and it's just, it's wrong. The individual knows it's wrong, but he feels it serves his purposes to mischaracterize it and create confusion.
Amen. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Stevenson.
Aye.
Bassett.
Aye.
Carlton.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Hatfield.
Aye.
Smoker.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye. The motion is approved. The driveway is approved. Let's roll. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, we have none. County Administrator's report.
Just a reminder, I'm out the rest of this week, hopefully finishing the move. Couple other things. We do have a jail study meeting set. More information on that to follow. As is everywhere, it's busy time right now at the county, so yell if you need anything. You guys all know how to find me. There was one other thing I was going to mention, but between beginning of the meeting and now, it slipped my mind, so
Okay.
thanks.
Yep. Chairperson's report. I was at Hope Township last night. They're still having some discussion and some questions on the ambulance service that they're a part of in there, so they did not approve it, but I think they probably will. They just want some more information on the finances. They don't have any audited financials from them, which they would like to see. Berry Township is tonight. Rutland Township is Wednesday. Prairieville is next week. I'm sure there'll be an EDA meeting in there at some point as well. So that's it. Vice Chairperson's report.
I have nothing.
Okay. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Tunison.
Hastings Charters tonight. That's the only one that I'll probably have to miss because I'm not going to be here. But anyway, That's about it.
Commissioner Campbell.
I visited Maple Grove last Wednesday, and I also was at Baltimore? Yes, I'm going to be at Baltimore tonight. Assyria. I was at Assyria last night. They just completed a complete renovation out there. They're going to have an open house on June 6th. They said cordially invite all the commissioners, so you are cordially invited. It's between 4 and 8 o'clock. They've done a magnificent job with maintaining a very historical look to it, but yet modernizing it out there, which was long overdue. Heather Wing played a big part in it, as she was the acting clerk for a while. They did do a celebration for her last night and thanking her for her time and efforts and kind of turning the township a little bit around and bringing it more up to date. So lots of good things out there in Assyria.
Assyria was due for an overhaul, that's for sure. So a little past due there, like 100 years. So, you know.
They took out the hitching post, too.
No, say it isn't so. Commissioner Smelker.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Getty.
Nothing.
Commissioner Carlton.
Last night I was at Carlton and the Village of Woodland. Tonight, the Township of Woodland. And I was at Castleton last Wednesday.
Perfect. Commissioner Bassett.
I had a retreat with SWIMBA Board, the Southwest Michigan Mental Health Board, last Friday. Started with a meeting on the finances and then moved into a strategic planning retreat, which actually was very well done. They had a consultant do it, and he really did a good job, and it was a good day. Despite all the uncertainty, we made some progress in looking, making some plans, if then, if what kind of a thing. And so it was a good day. Then tonight I have Orangeville and Glib tomorrow night. So.
Fantastic. Okay. Limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes.
I remember two things I wanted to say. That's what happens between there. If you didn't see my note on it, we did fill the administrative coordinator position in our office. We did steal from the circuit court, so I do apologize to Judge Alspaugh on that. But we're excited to have Emily on board. She starts Monday. From here to there, once again. Thanks to Commissioner Carlton and then Dar behind the scenes, we did get a $10 million request put into the House budget for the jail for support from Representative Johnson. That was also sent on to the other two reps from the county to try and levy their support when the budget time comes. Know that it's just initial submission. There were a lot of others, but it's at least a positive step. So hopefully, if you see any of our three representatives, bend their ear. See Senator Albers, bend his ear. See what we can do to make sure that happens. And then after we know some firm costs, we plan on talking to Representative Molnar, Senator Slotkin, and which other ever senators in office at the time. So just FYI.
Okay. Thank you. Additional public comment.
I'm going to clarify a little bit with the driveway issue. Access points is how they determine speed limits on our roads. That's all done through the state of Michigan. So the more access points we have coming into the road, the lower the speed limit's going to be. So that's part of the reason why they want to control those that driveway, that access point. We get it all the time. There's some places here in the county where the speed limit was down at 25, and they're complaining they want us to enforce it. And we call them up saying, according to state law, it's really 55. You don't want us out there to go out and check the access points or do the, what do they call that? Speed study, thank you. So that's part of what goes on with the driveways and why that's so, one of the reasons why that's so important, other than safety also. Other than that, a little more personal, thank you so much for the cards and support and all that stuff, prayers. Bear with me, still trying to get my wind back into sails here, and it's hard to stay focused, really. So, but we're getting there. I always said God put eyes in the front of my head because that's the direction He wants me to move. So, This Saturday, a bunch of my son's friends are doing a little candlelight vigil over at the Village of Middleville. So, you guys can make it. Probably hear some funny stories. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bassett?
Just a couple quickies. Dalton Kellogg is having their senior day on Friday, and we will be awarding $80,000 in scholarships to our graduating seniors. So that's always an exciting day. And then we have a local graduate from Dalton, Allie Steele, who is taking a position here with our courts, and she'll be sworn in on Friday at 3:30. So
nice.
very excited about having one of our locals go out, get a law degree, and come back and work in the county and live in the county. So
There you
that's a good thing. So.
Commissioner Carlton?
Catherine Getty came out to our National Community Garden last Saturday. We got the early planting in, all the stuff we're going to plant early in a couple of weeks. Not sure if we have to wait, but I've lost the game of gambling on the last frost before. Then we'll plant things like peppers and tomatoes and other things that need to be after the last frost.
Hopefully we're getting there soon, so, Commissioner Getty?
Just a reminder that household hazardous waste is Saturday from 9 to 1 at the fairgrounds. So bring us all your giant screen TVs and tires and stuff that shouldn't be sitting on shelves in your garage.
A lot of it, every year. Commissioner Smoke?
Nothing.
Commissioner Hatfield?
And if you have metal that you want to get rid of, the Hastings Band Boosters is doing their annual metal collection at Dewey's Auto Body, and that is a significant fundraiser for them. So hopefully nobody steals it this year. Right, yeah, yes, exactly.
Amazing. Commissioner Campbell?
I just would like to mention gratitude to the county from the VFW in Dalton. 3 years ago, we started on a quest to try to keep the place alive. We've been successful at that. We put in a $10,000 cooler, all by donations locally. We put in a $40,000 steel roof, all by donations. And today they're putting in a new air conditioner system, which broke down a week after the roof was done. And that was $22,000, all by donations in the county. So we're very grateful for our county and what they do for the veterans.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Commissioner Tunison?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm good also. We appreciate you coming out today. Have a safe day, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.